Hey guys, this is Ian with Camp Nerd, and before we get into the tutorial today, I want to apologize for the humming sound in the background. It is 82 degrees here in Alabama, and it is freakingly insane hot. It is 82 degrees, so I have the air conditioner going. Yeah, it's hot. And so that's the humming sound that you hear in the background, and if it wasn't so hot outside, I'd cut it off so to be a little bit clearer. But hopefully you can hear everything, and the humming sound is not that bad. And so what we're going to do today in this tutorial is we are going to do a simple login, and it allows you to log into your application whether you're using just simple credentials that you have predefined, or you can also do a registry button to where they can register to create their own username and password. But in this tutorial, we are only going to focus on the very first process, and that is the login screen. And then when you press login, it will actually go to a new screen. Now, also with this, if you put in the wrong info, such as the wrong username, wrong password, it will give you a notice in a message box that says you have put in invalid username and or password. Now, for example, for this, I just put in just my name, Ian Massey, and then the password 1 through 9. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in John, and then I'm going to put in the password, let's say Massey, my last name. Now, whenever I click in on login, it will say invalid name and or password. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in Ian Massey, that is the username that I put in there for this tutorial, and then we're going to put in the password 123456789. Now, whenever we press login, you see that it goes to the next form. And then say if you wanted to exit out of this form, you would just simply click the exit button, and then it goes back to the login screen. And if you notice, you cannot go back to it until you put in your credentials in again. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is, since I already have this up, I'm going to exit out of it. And I'm not quite for sure which screen my dev environment is going to come up in, but what we want to do first is you just want to, in whatever folder you're using, I'm just going to create one, and there we go, tutorial, and we're just going to move this right under here, and we're going to open us up a new Visual Studio 2015 community, which is, I'll also have a link to the description below, and it went to the other screen. Hang on a second. Okay, there we go. Now, since we have Visual Studio up and running, what we're going to do is we're going to create a new project. And within this project, we're going to focus on C# and a Windows Form application. And we're just going to name it to Login Tutorial. Alright, now also we're going to take and we're going to place it in that. So we're going to click Tutorial and then just select the folder to put it in. Then we're going to press OK. Now, as it is creating the project, there's been a few things that's been going on with me. Not bad, some good, and some not really that bad, but I haven't been able to do any tutorials or anything like that. So what we're going to do is this is going to be a two-part tutorial. First is the basic login, then the registry, and have everything put together. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to create a little snazzy login. It's not going to be anything. Just going to change it to black, and then we're going to change the form name to login. Alright, and as you see, it's changed to login right there. Now, since we have our form, we need 5 components, 2 labels, 2 text box, and a button. Okay, so if you go over to your toolbox, we're going to grab us 2 text boxes, and we're going to grab us a button. Let's just kind of move that around. Alright, so we got our 2 text boxes and a button. Then we're going to choose our label. I usually tell everyone to whenever they get a label, only do one, design the label the way you want it, and then copy and paste. It's a lot easier when you're dealing with like a lot of labels instead of having to try to remember what font you used, what size, everything like that. So what we're just going to do is we're going to leave everything just basic. We're just going to up the font size, and then we're going to copy. You can right click, go to copy, or you can press Control C, and then you can go Control V, or you can right click and then go to paste. Okay, so now since we have our labels and our text box, we're just going to resize that out to there, resize that out to there, and we're probably going to resize the form here in a second. But click on your first label, and you're going to put username. Okay, and we're going to make that a little bit better. We're going to put username, and then you just want to click on your other label, and you're going to put password. You really don't have to do anything else. That's it on that. So we're going to take and we're going to line this up there. Then we're going to take and line that up there, line that up there, and then we're going to close this down a little bit. There. So that looks pretty snazzy right there. Now we're going to take the button and we're going to put login for the button name. And you can keep it the default standard. I'm going to go flat and change the color to blue. Just kind of have it like that. Okay. Now you want to change the design name to BTN Login. Just like that. And then on the first text box, this is for your username. And what we're going to do is we're going to put it txt username, and then here on the password we're going to put txt password. Okay, now this is pretty much it just for this side on the design. And now what we want to do is the two names that you had put right here, you're going to add your predefined. Just for this tutorial, you can actually do it as a database, which is we'll see that in the next tutorial. But you want to go to your Solution Explorer and you want to right click on Login Tutorial or whatever name you had named it, and you want to go to Properties. Now once you go to Properties, you want to go to Settings. And right here where settings is at, you want to put in username, which is that is the name of the text box. And then you also want to use password, which is the name of the text box. Okay, and right here for the value, you can put in a predefined whatever. I'm just going to do example. And then I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, and we're going to click Save on that, and then we're going to click Exit out of that. Now we're going to come over to our Solution Explorer, and we are going to right-click on the Login Tutorial, or whatever you named it, and then we're going to go down, and you're going to right-click on that, go to Add, and then Add Windows Form. Now, this window form is the next form that you're going to, and we're just going to leave it Form 2. And we're just going to basically leave it like this right here. Now, while we are on this form, we need to have it to when you press exit, it goes back to the login screen. So, you go to your properties, and you're going to go to your events, and then you're going to go to the form closed. And you're going to double click on the form closed. Okay, so here you're going to put form 1 and F1 equals new form 1, which is, this brings up a form 1 is what we're going to be using. It brings up to where we can go kind of back and forth. It references this form to that form, and as far as opening, closing, and things like that. So form 1 F1 equals new form 1, and then you can put F1 dot show, and that will bring up the new form. Now you want this form to actually hide when you press close, so you're just simply going to put in this dot hide, close it off, and that is all of the programming we're going to do on this form. Okay, so we can exit out of that, and we can exit out of that. Now we're back to our form 1. What you want to do is you want to double click on the login. Now, our using statement, we're going to only use one using directive, and that is going to be using and then login tutorial.properties. Okay, now the login tutorial.properties is going to reference the predefined of what we added earlier for the username and password example in 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Okay, now in the button click event, what you're going to want to do is you're going to add a string variable, and we're going to title it name, and then we're going to put it as equals as settings dot default dot, and then this is where you're going to put in username and close that off. Then you're going to put in another string variable, password equals settings dot default dot, and this time it's going to be password. And then now you have your string settings. So instead of having to type in settings.default.username or settings.default.password, you can simply just put name and password. And so when we come down, we are going to do an if statement like what we did before in the past tutorials on maximizing and minimizing a borderless form. That's where we got into the if statements. But what we are going to do now is an if statement to pull the values from the settings.default.name and settings.default.password by using the string variables we'd set up, name and password. Okay, so what we want to do is if, and then we're going to put in the username. If txt username dot text is equal to name, and then instead of doing several different lines, we're going to bring this all together, and you want to use your ampersand. The ampersand is the function key in number 7. It's the little and symbol, so you want to do 2 of those. And basically that's saying if this and this is equal to this, then do this. And so once we have that, now we're going to do the password. Txt password is equal to password. I got to put dot text in there. All right, dot text. And then we can go in and bring up from this form to the next form, which is we're going to do we're going to do this dot hide, so it hides the login and brings the new form up. And then we're going to put form 2 F2 equals new form 2, and then F2 dot show, and close that off. Now basically, if the username and password is correct, it will go to this. To the form, it'll log you in and go to the form. Now we have to do an else if statement just in case if something is not lined up correctly. So what we're going to do is we're going to do else if, and then to make this a lot easier, instead of typing it, you can just highlight all of this and then press Control C, then come over here and press Control V. And then we're going to change a few things. Where the two ampersands are at, you're going to do your or symbol, which is shift and then your backslash or your straighten up and down line. That is the or symbol. Alright, and then where the double equals, you're going to take the first equal sign and you're going to put an exclamation point. Now, let me kind of go through what the exclamation equals and equals and the ampersand you already know is and. The equals means is equal to, and the exclamation point equals means is not equal to. Okay, so now since we have if the username, the text is not equal to name, which is the settings.default username that you predefined earlier, same thing with a password, then we want it to show message box dot show, and we're going to put in invalid username and or password, and then we're going to close that off. Okay, so what this does is, I got SJAL. It's supposed to be show. There we go. Okay, now this is the basic login form. Now, when we run the application in debug or out of debug, you can see that we have the user form. And remember, for the username, I put example. And then also for the password, I put 1 through 9. Now, I did not mask the password so you can see what's being put in. So I'm going to put in my name, Ian Massey. And then I'm going to put in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the password. I'm going to press login. And if you notice, it says invalid username and or password. Okay. Now, let's say I put example, which is the predefined username, and I press login. It says invalid username and or password. Alright, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, and I press login. Invalid username and password. We know that example is the username and the password is 1 through 9. So once we put in the username example and the password 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, which is our predefined username and password, we just click on login and it takes us to the new page, which is form 2. Now, form 2 could be your main page, it could be something, whatever you want it to be. Now, if you was to click exit on here, then it would just come up and it would be just a blank image with the login screen running in the background. But since we put in, when we press exit, it'll bring the login screen back up. We press exit, and then you see the login screen pops back up. Now, this is just a basic tutorial on how to do a login to an application through Winforms. In the next tutorial, we'll go over how to do the register for a username and password, to where you can choose what password you want on a client side, or you can have a predefined. If it's just you using this, instead of you registering, you can just predefine and set what you want, and that is what it's set for. Okay, and remember, this is Ian with Camp Nerd, and I appreciate you watching this tutorial, and I hope you stay tuned for the next tutorial on how to build the registry button to register for a username and password. Also, if you haven't seen any of my other videos, be sure to click on the videos. Click on my name, then go to videos, and then you can see all the videos I've done. You can also follow me everywhere. I'm on Facebook. I got a Facebook group. I am on Twitter, LinkedIn. All those will be in the description below. And also, if you have any questions or comments, leave them down in the comment section below. Also, if you would hit the like button and the subscribe button, that will also help me a lot too. I appreciate it when you guys subscribe to the channel or share it so we can share the knowledge of new people. Also, the website ivansystems.ml, we rebranded last month, and it is now ivansoftsolutions.ml, and those will be in the description as below. So you can see some of the research articles that I'm doing on artificial intelligence and whatnot. But remember, this is Ian. Thank you for watching this tutorial, and stay tuned for the next one. Alright guys, y'all know the words if y'all have been here before. We all have to keep it nerdy in the camp. Alright guys, I'll see y'all in the next tutorial.